soy oil and European rapeseed. However, those gains are being tempered by losses in Malaysian palm oil. The Canadian dollar is slightly lower this morning at 74.68 US cents compared to Thursday's close of 74.77. Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada says in its outlook on principal field crops released this morning that the 2019-20 carryout for canola is 2.7 million tons. Production for 2020-21 is projected to be 19.4 million tons, with the carryover falling to 2.2 million tons. The Canadian Grain Commission reports producer deliveries of canola are up more than 23% at about 734,000 tons for the week ending September 20th. Canola exports exceed 165,000 tons for an increase of 57.5%. Domestic usage is around 166,000 tons, rising about 12%. In the United States, good weather is allowing significant progress to be made in the harvesting of corn and soybeans. Also, reports say that there is a La Nina, which will increase the likelihood of a dry winter for the U.S. southern plains. In Ukraine and Argentina, some of the dry conditions could be alleviated in those countries this weekend. Both are forecast to receive rain, which could ease market concerns over wheat production. However, dry conditions continue in Russia. Rounding off prices at the Chicago Board of Trade, soybean futures are higher on Friday morning. The November soybean contract is up 2 cents at $10.02 per bushel. December soy oil is up almost a quarter of a cent at 32.64 US cents per pound. December soy meal is up $1.80 at $338.30 per hundredweight. Corn futures are higher on Friday morning, with the December contract up 3 cents at $3.66 per bushel. Chicago oats are steady, with the December contract up a half cent at $2.86 per bushel. Wheat futures are lower on Friday morning. Chicago December is down 5 at $5.45. Kansas City December is down 7 at $4.76. And Minneapolis December is down 2 at $5.33. That's a look at the ICE futures and the Chicago markets for Friday morning, September 25th. For Markets Farm in Winnipeg, I'm Glenn Halleck.
There are no such things as small chores on your farm, so you need equipment that works as hard as you do, especially during harvest season. That's where New Holland and Butler Farm Equipment in Fort St. John come in. During New Holland Harvest Days, get terrific deals on equipment to help you work more productively. Save with 0% financing and cashback offers on select tractors, hay tools, and harvesting equipment. Stop by Butler Farm Equipment in Fort St. John today for details. But hurry, Harvest Days end September 30th, 2020.
The opinions expressed during this show do not represent those of this station. If you've missed any of this show, you can follow the podcast at energeticcity.ca. Now, an in-depth look at the news and information shaping our community. This is Moose Talks with your host, Doug Craig, on Moose FM.
Good morning. Welcome to another episode of the show. A little later on, we're going to be chatting with Norbert Kaspar, the principal of the Key Learning Center, about distance education and how things have changed for them, given that we're living in the time of COVID. I imagine they're seeing a few more students than they have in previous years. But first, it's election time in BC, and it is also still pandemic time, so we're going to talk about how many changes, if any, we're going to see around the process of voting is going to look like with our local Elections BC District Electoral Officer, Eliza Stanford, who joins us now. Good morning, Eliza. Welcome to Moose Talks.
Good morning.
Thanks so much for joining us. So we're having an election during a pandemic. A lot of people might be wondering how much is actually different about the process in terms of how the votes are counted, how people can go in and vote themselves. Is there actually that much different about this election in terms of how it's unfolding on the ground and how people can cast their votes?
Yes, well, there's been a big push to make widely available vote by mail. So I believe as of yesterday, 130,000 vote by mail packages requests were received by headquarters in Victoria. They anticipate around 800,000 people to vote using vote by mail. and it will play a big role in the election. And so that will ripple down at our end as all those vote by mail packages will come back to us as enveloped votes, and they get counted during final count. They don't get counted on election night.
I see. Okay. Well, that answers a few of my questions then. But we'll stick to sort of the voting in person for now, right? I mean, again, it's a different year. So how does that look like it's going to change for people who do choose to want to advance in person at advanced polls or in the polling station on General Election Day on October 24th? What sort of protocols are in place that make it different this time around?
You will notice that the tables will be staffed by one voting officer, not two. And the tables will be widely set apart so that everybody who's at one table can distance from the next table safely. There will be transparent voting screens for the voting officials so that they can interact with the voter with the voting screen in between them, as well as face shields and masks by the voting officer. And masks will be offered to voters who come into the voting place. So we would encourage everybody to bring a mask or wear a mask when you're in the voting place.
Okay. Masks mandatory though, or if somebody just chooses not to, will they still be allowed to vote?
Yes, they can still vote.
Okay. So you've already mentioned the mail-in ballots this time. I wanted to talk a bit about how that works exactly, because I know I've never voted by mail-in ballot, and as you said, a lot of people already choosing to. So the mail-in ballot, you get the instructions with the ballot itself when you get the ballot. But for example, it says it has to be received by Elections BC by 8 o'clock Pacific PM on election day. That doesn't mean it has to be received in Victoria or the Lower Mainland, right? They come to your kind of local area, kind of districts to be counted, right?
They have to be received by Victoria.
Oh, they do.
Everything goes down to Victoria, and then there's this massive redistribution event where all of these ballots get sorted and then sent to the various voting areas or voting districts that the voter comes from.
Okay, so you do have to mail in your vote ahead of time so that it goes to Victoria and then will be, then as you say, redistributed to be counted by your local area, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, that's very good.
So if you've ordered, I guess the suggestion would be, if you do want to vote by mail, order your ballot now.
Okay, very good information, and that's very easily accessible on Elections, the Elections BC website. I did it in a couple minutes. It's very quick. I wanted to ask this one because this is sort of another thing that not everybody knows about. If you choose to, you can actually vote right now at the District Electoral Office. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and is it the same as if you show up at the poll on the election day? You'll require the same. Oh, it isn't. Okay.
Well, you'll get a write-in ballot here. So you just write the name of your candidate or the party on the ballot. There won't be a box to check because not all the nominations have been received yet, and the ballots haven't been printed yet.
Okay, and you can vote before all the nominations are, like everybody's on the ballot as of October 2nd, correct?
But the ballots won't be printed. I think the close of nomination is different from when the ballots actually get printed and received by us.
I see. Okay, so a write-in ballot's different than the ballot I'm describing then.
You actually have to write in the name of the party because there's just like one space to write in. And you write in the name of the party or the candidate.
Okay, so if you want to vote now, you can. You just have to know for sure who you're voting for, because there won't be a list available. Okay, good to know.
right.
Okay, it's all very good information. I had no idea. One other kind of big question I wanted to ask you about is voter registration, because this all happened super fast, right? The election was called, kind of the wheels got moving. As I understand it, registration already closes as of tomorrow, I believe. So what's the best way to get registered to vote to make sure that you're on a list when it comes to it, or to get your mail-in vote? What do you suggest?
Go online onto the Elections BC website and you can register or update your information online. If you don't get around to doing that, you can register and vote at the same time.
All right. All very...
So, yeah, you can update your registration and vote at the same time. So it's still possible to do that, but it's just a much faster process if you're already registered.
Okay, and one other question for you. As I understand it, there's an additional day for advance voting this year, correct?
There's 7 days of advance voting. So we will be having all 7 days from the 15th to the 21st of October here in Fort St. John at the North Peace Arena lobby. And there'll be 4 days at the Taylor Community Hall, 4 days in Hudson's Hope at the Perks Center, and 4 days in Fort Nelson at the Northern Lamplighters Activity Center.
Okay. And Election Day, I imagine there's lots of different places you can vote, correct?
That's right. That's a big list. I'm not going to list them all now.
Yeah, that's all right, Eliza. I won't expect you to. For more information about that and where you can vote, getting your mail-in ballot, which, as Eliza said, you get on that soon if you want to do it. You can go to the Elections BC website. Eliza, I really appreciate you taking a few minutes today to tell us about this and sort of allay any sort of concerns we might have about how things are going to look different this year. I appreciate your time.
It will be a very safe event this year. I'm sure of it.
Excellent. That's Eliza Stanford, the District Electoral Officer for our district here with Elections BC. We'll be right back after this on Moose Talks.
Do you know who has the best flooring in town?
Yeah, Bronze Flooring. They have a wide selection of all types of flooring. Did you know they have an expert designer on staff to help with planning and all professional, reliable installations?
Really?
And their customer service is fantastic.
New summer hours, Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m., closed weekends, in the Big Bronze Building on 96th Avenue. Check them out on Facebook. Let the Hairbin show you some love during their Customer Appreciation Day this Friday, September 25th with Moose FM live on location. Get your name in the draw with any service or retail purchase. Get 30 to 50% off select items. Plus, when you bring a non-perishable food item for the Women's Resource Society, get 20% off any retail purchase. Customer Appreciation Day this Friday at the Hairbin, People's Choice Award winner for Best Salon since 2011. Find them on Facebook or visit hairbin.com.
There's nothing better than enjoying fresh produce in the fall. But what makes fresh produce even better? Fresh, local produce. The Fort St. John Farmers Market is open every Saturday until Thanksgiving at the Seniors Building on 100th Street. And they have a huge selection of fresh fruit and veggies and local meat vendors. While you're there, check out all of the crafts from our local vendors and so much more. Support our local farming community every Saturday from 9 until 3. For more, follow the Fort St. John Farmers Market on Facebook.
Relax your mind. Deep breaths. Imagine you're driving through a winter storm, gripping the steering wheel gently, like it's a foam pool noodle. The road is slippery, but you feel more confident knowing you have winter tires.
Put the chill back into winter driving with winter tires from Ford Service. Get up to $100 in manufacturer mail-in rebates on select tires. Learn more about our price match promise at Ford.ca.
If you check out a lot of signs around the Peace region, there's a good chance quite a few are made by Graphic Signs and Auto Designs. Whether it's oil field signs or business signage, Graphic does everything from illuminated signs and billboards to vinyl window signs and simple office signs asking employees to clean off their muddy boots. Seriously, it's a thing! Graphic Signs and Auto Designs now in their new location on Alaska Road. Check out graphicsignsfsj.com.
Watch this show live on Facebook or download the podcast at energeticcity.ca.
We're back on Moose Talks. I'm Dub Craig. I'm joined now by Norbert Kaspar, the principal of the Key Learning Center. I wanted to talk a bit about distance learning, something that I'm sure is on the minds of a lot of students and parents who have just gone back to school, again, in the time of COVID. Norbert, thanks for taking some time to talk to us today.
Hello, and thank you for the privilege.
All right, so why don't we start with, for people who don't know, like me, what is the Key Learning Center? What do you do there?
Our building is what could be described as an alternate program, and we cover all manner of alternate education, including distance learning. Right? We have programs where we bring in students who don't fit into the regular system. We are looking to run a continuing ed program where, people over 16 can get into schools, and summer learning programs, plus a half dozen unique kind of projects. So we're a very diverse school.
Oh, see, well, there you go. I didn't know that. Do you have like a sort of an idea of how much you do of each? Like, is one overwhelmingly more than the others? I.e., like, do you do mostly distance education, or is it more alternate education, as you suggest?
No, that's a good question. The distance education component of our building is sort of like the core. We use that to affect and work with all other parts of what this building does. So DL by far is the most prevalent. Just to throw out a fairly meaningless number, last year we had over 2,800 active students in DL.
Okay, interesting. Good to know. Just out of curiosity, in distance education, that means a student getting their kind of courses delivered to them essentially 100% while they're at home or wherever they choose to work. That's not in kind of a formal school classroom setting. Is that sort of how it is, or?
In part, that's correct. And that would describe our kindergarten through grade 9 program very well. At the grade 10 to 12 level, though, and the adult level, we end up doing a lot of cross-enroll. And that means students who are attending a regular brick-and-mortar school, but at the same time take a course for a myriad of different reasons. And so, we fill in when there's a timetable conflict. We fill in when a student needs to redo a course or looking to get a higher mark in a course. So there's many, many reasons. The time of distance learning being, students who are 3 mountain ranges back off the highway and it's all boxes of paper has passed.
I see. Okay. Then I guess my question is, and you've sort of touched on this already, how are the courses and materials delivered then? Is it kind of a series of videos by teachers that have been recorded? Are teachers doing like live kind of hosting classes online for a few distance people at once, or is it kind of they do all their reading and writing and handing in assignments kind of just like that without sort of the aid of a teacher all the time?
So yes to all of that. It's very varied. Most of our delivery model is digital these days. However, it doesn't work so well for, let's say, primary program level students, simply because they're not efficient enough in reading and writing so that they can learn themselves. So we rely very heavily on a parent involvement in that, and that is something that K through 9 parent involvement is a very, very significant thing. We do a lot of distance learning through a course management system called Moodle, but uniquely, we're also, I think, one of the last schools in BC that deliver paper. And so in this time, which is a fairly unique time for us as well as every other school in the province, the fact that we can deliver an asynchronous paper program or an asynchronous digital program is something that seems to be quite in demand right now.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that demand, I mean, do you have a sense of how much more people are choosing distance education this year as opposed to sort of I use the term more normal years due to the pandemic and people concerned about being in classrooms, in quote unquote smaller spaces with each other?
Well, without it, a significant factor, but it's not a straightforward, simple answer, right? We're finding right now that at the elementary level, so kindergarten through grade 9, we're double and triple our enrollment
Wow.
that we normally have by this time of the year. And from all over British Columbia, we have families on sailboats, we have families who are living off the grid, we have families who are truly concerned about, the dangers. I'm not sure that's the appropriate word, but the threat that we could present for, again, a myriad of different reasons, and are looking to come up with a program that they can deliver to their children or with their children, that removes some of that danger from them, their loved ones. Like I said, there's a whole bunch of different scenarios that fit that bill.
Now, you mentioned parent involvement very important in kind of the K-9 level of distance education. Does that mean there's not really a strain on the system that you're having, as you say, double and triple the enrollment in some grades or kind of course levels?
Oh, definitely a strain. Our district has been awesome in supporting us. We've just for registration purposes, we've brought in 4 additional clerical to process all the paper. We're very good at consuming paper, and a couple of extra teachers. We're looking to hire more staff once we get past the registration window, which is next Wednesday. And then from there, we actually have to deliver a program. So, yeah, there's some strain on the building.
Okay. Wow. There you go. Now, you mentioned the registration window, because that was kind of going to be my next question then. If there's people right now who maybe have kids in school, they're not sure what to do. They maybe didn't even really consider distance education as a possibility. They have to decide by Wednesday, essentially, and past that, does that mean they're out of luck? Or can you kind of start switching really any time? How does that work if that's not the case?
Yeah, we often mission a continuous entry school.
I see.
Because we're alternate, we're funded 3 times a year. Brick and mortar schools, most of their registrations are bums in seats September 31st, right? And that's what their count is, and that's sort of the way it works. That doesn't mean you can't go back to a regular school after that. It just is a funding issue. For us, we have the same date, but we also have 2 additional dates, one in February and one in May. And so, we are continuous entry. We will accept students all year. It does get a little more complicated than just saying, yeah, come on over, we'll get you started again. A student who's been in school for 2/3 of the year, something happens, they get sick or what, there are variations and flavors. We're what's known as an asynchronous school, which means continuous entry anytime.
Okay. Now, I have to ask this. March comes around. People, schools start saying we're going to keep students home to keep them safe because of the pandemic. Numbers kind of went up as the summer went around. I guess my question is because of the nature of distance education, as you've seen some more enrollment. Are you prepared for there to be more of it if, say, COVID numbers really spike and parents get really concerned? Is that something you've been able to prepare for? Is that something you can prepare for? What do you think?
Maybe I'll reframe that idea a little bit and express it in the sense that DL schools, alternate schools, by their very nature, are meant to be flexible around us. Without a doubt, doubling and tripling enrollment means a lot of stress and strain on, and I'm going to brag here, but an amazing staff that we have in our building here. But we can grow and add, and the district's, like I said, been very, very supportive around that idea. So we have the capability, although it is stressed without a doubt, of expanding as much as the need demands. Is that the right way to say that?
Mm-hmm.
And so, we can keep growing and that kind of thing, but it becomes more a factor of what is the school year defined as, right? So, if you're bringing, say, let's say in grade 3 and you bring them in May and you say you want to do grade 3, that sort of goes against the cadence of what the school system calendar looks like, right? Doesn't mean we haven't done that, but grade 3 into grade 4 in September is a very, very tall order for anyone.
All right, Norbert. Well, we're going to have to leave it there. But for parents listening right now who are maybe considering distance education or haven't considered it before, but maybe now are, what do they have to do? They contact you, not you, but the Key Learning Center directly? Do they have to talk to the district? What's their kind of best way to move forward to perhaps find out more information or get their children registered for distance learning?
So absolutely contact our school. We're always open to that, but it's a very, very good idea, and something we strongly recommend is to let the school know what your plans and intentions are.
Mm-hmm.
The schools themselves have their own contingency plans, and maybe they can do something to fit you in. If that doesn't work, we're more than welcoming to people who want to come and work on a DL model. Just make it a considered decision. It's not something that it's just, I can put my child in front of a computer and everything is good. It involves a significant commitment on the part of everybody in the process.
All right, Norbert. Well, I really appreciate you taking some time to chat with us today about this, and thanks so much.
Oh, thank you, and appreciate the privilege.
All right,
Have a wonderful day.
Absolutely. That's Norbert Kaspar, the principal of the Key Learning Center. We'll be right back to wrap things up here on Moose Talks after this.
Let the Hairbin show you some love during their Customer Appreciation Day this Friday, September 25th with Moose FM live on location. Get your name in the draw with any service or retail purchase. Get 30 to 50% off select items. Plus, when you bring a non-perishable food item for the Women's Resource Society, get 20% off any retail purchase. Customer Appreciation Day this Friday at the Hairbin, People's Choice Award winner for Best Salon since 2011. Find them on Facebook or visit hairbin.com.
Fort St. Johners, it's your turn to decide which dirty vehicle deserves a detailing service with Moose FM's Dirtiest Vehicle, fueled by Murray GM.
Nicole's vehicle needs a detailing service because her interior is horrible and smelly.
Vote now at moosefm.ca under contests. Moose FM's Dirtiest Vehicle, fueled by Murray GM. If you're looking for hassle-free internet services, call the Peace Region Internet Society today. With coverage throughout most of the Peace, PRIS can get you connected quickly without the hassle of contracts or bundles. Visit pris.ca or call 1-800-768-3311 for more information.
Now, a Sports Boosters update.
East Passage Skating Club is taking registrations for the 2020 and 2021 season. Due to COVID-19 restrictions, their programs will all have caps on them this year and will be on a first-come, first-served basis. Contact Amanda Thomas, 250-262-4659 for more information or the website at eastpassage.ca.
Send us your sports info, sports@moosefm.ca, or by fax, 263-9749. Sports Boosters on Moose FM. Our community first. This is Moose Talks with Dub Craig on Moose FM.
Big thanks again to Eliza Stanford and Norbert Kaspar for joining us today. You can hear this episode again if you'd like in podcast form over at energeticcity.ca /Moose Talks, or if you'd like to see my lovely face again, you can watch the video shortly on the Moose FM or energeticcity.ca Facebook pages. If you haven't already, make sure you follow energeticcity.ca on Facebook. Keep up to date on all your local election news and other local news and beyond. That's it for this episode, though. Adam Rayburn is the studio producer. I'm Dub Craig. Have a great day.
Join us next Friday at 10 a.m. for another episode of Moose Talks, a weekly talk show about Fort St. John and the North Peace.
Energetic country, 100.1 Moose FM.